Okay. All right, I think we are ready. Good afternoon. Welcome to Walker County, to Lafayette. I'm Steve Wilson, Walker County Sheriff. Also, I have with me today behind me Clay Fuller, the District Attorney for the Lookout Mountain Judicial Circuit, and Joe Montgomery, the Special Agent in charge of Region 1 at the Calhoun office. We want to welcome you to this press conference today. I'll be introducing Clay Fuller here in just a moment and Joe Montgomery. Today we want to talk about the August 1st, 2022 murder and the subsequent conviction this past week in Walker County Superior Court. The murder was the victim, was Dakota Bradshaw, 29 years of age. And this past week, two of the suspects were convicted in Walker County Superior Court, and Clay will be talking about that. I would like to say just right out here about the partnership that we shared with the GBI, with the District Attorney's Office, also with the other all law enforcement agencies, Chattanooga PD, the ABI. This was law enforcement agencies from 3 states that banded together to make an arrest, and subsequently this past week convict 2 individuals that were charged in that crime of August 1st of 2022. We all worked well together. We've always worked well together, but in this case it was a team effort, and I'm sure DA Fuller will talk more about that. But anyways, thank you for being here, and at this time I'll turn it over to District Attorney Clay Fuller.
Thank you, sir. My name is Clay Fuller. I'm the District Attorney for the Lookout Mountain Judicial Circuit, and I appreciate everyone being here this afternoon because there was important information that we wanted to get out to the media and ultimately to the community, because last week, because of the unrelenting work of the GBI and the Walker County Sheriff's Office, 12 members of our community came back with a verdict that spoke the truth. Dakota Bradshaw was gunned down in our community in a senseless act of violence. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Dakota Bradshaw, the victim in this case. He was known for always having a smile on his face. He graduated near the top of his class in high school, and he was hoping to pursue a career in cybersecurity. He was a son, a brother, and by all accounts, an amazing friend. I'd like to say to Dakota's family that we know that this verdict does not bring Dakota back, but justice for Dakota was done, and we hope this brings some measure of peace to the family. In too many parts of this country, prosecuting offices do not support their hardworking law enforcement partners. The partnership between my office, the GBI, and the Walker County Sheriff's Office, in this case, should be an exemplar really to the entire country. Because in too many parts of our country, violent criminals and lawlessness reign supreme, and prosecuting offices do nothing about it. There's a couple of people that I want to thank for that partnership that we have with our law enforcement partners. First, Sheriff Steve Wilson of the Walker County Sheriff's Office, and I want to thank Special Agent in charge Joe Montgomery of the GBI for that relationship, and specifically to the GBI's work in this case, because the public needs to know how strong of a case the GBI presented to the District Attorney's Office. First off, you need to know that the job of being a GBI agent is not something that's 9 to 5. You're getting called late in the night, you're responding to difficult situations, and you're going out into inclement weather, into the storm, to find every shred of evidence and every piece of the truth that you can find. And that's exactly what happened in this case, and it was a complex case. And the GBI, and we have some of the GBI agents here in the audience, have put in countless man hours to make sure that they found the truth and found every shred of evidence that they could. And they presented a powerful case to our office. So I want to thank you, Joe. Thank you to your team. I really appreciate it. Then to my office. It takes a number of component parts of a district attorney's office to ensure that a case is ready to prosecute. From our administrative staff, led by Amy Brown, to our investigative staff, led by investigator Christy Smith, to our victim advocate team, led by Director Amy Reed, but specifically pointing out Ashley Nicholson in our office, who put in so many hours of work to ensure that we are ready to present this case to the jury. But last but not least, I want to thank two people in my office standing behind me here today. First, Chief Assistant District Attorney Kevin Baugh, and Assistant District Attorney Deanna Reisman. When we talk about man hours, when we talk about sleepless nights, when we talk about hours away from their family, that's what these two individuals did. It's a stressful thing to bring a case to a jury, and they worked so hard to ensure that we could achieve justice for Dakota. They are two of the best litigators in the state, and I would put them up against any defense counsel in the nation and expect justice in that case. So the citizens of Northwest Georgia need to understand and rest assured that the enduring partnership between law enforcement, the GBI, the Walker County Sheriff's Office, and the District Attorney's Office, through that partnership, we will always pursue justice. And in closing, I think there's something that's important that I address, especially if you've been paying attention to events that have happened in a city like Chicago over Memorial Day weekend, where 50 plus people were shot, over 10 individuals lost their lives over Memorial Day weekend. The public needs to know that in Northwest Georgia, we are not like those communities. We are not Manhattan. We are not St. Louis. We are not Chicago. We are not Portland. We are not Los Angeles. And we are definitely not San Francisco. If you are a violent criminal and you come into our community, this team, and you hurt somebody in our community, this team behind me, we are going to do everything that we can to ensure justice is done. That's a fact, and that's a promise. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Special Agent in Charge, Joe Montgomery.
Thank you, Steve. Good afternoon. I want to take just a little time to thank everybody for coming today. I hope that your prayers will be with Dakota Bradshaw's family and their loss. But as you look behind me, you see it's not just one person that makes these cases. You have to have two parts. When this case first happened, we call this a whodunit. When someone is killed and we don't know who has done this, we call it a whodunit. So we roll out most of the agents in the office. At this time, I only had about 5 agents, so all 5 agents go, and then I go. And that's not where it stops. Sheriff Wilson had his detectives out, so you become a force multiplier. And these guys work countless hours. I mean, 10, 20 hours a day trying to get where we are today. And not only that, their partnership with the District Attorney's Office. The minute this thing happened, when Dakota was killed, we made contact with the DA's office. We called Kevin and Deanna and said, this is what we have. This is the direction we're headed. We met with them on a weekly basis, sometimes a daily basis, so we got closer to show them what we had and to try to get the direction we needed to be. I'd like to also thank Daniel Nicholson, Special Agent Daniel Nicholson, and Special Agent Caitlin Flowers, and Special Agent Steve Rogers, their dedication in this, and especially Daniel's for his leadership, because we had 3 veteran agents and 3, or sometimes 2, very inexperienced agents. So his leadership and Steve's leadership kind of guided them to where we needed to be. But also wanted to thank the Alabama Law Enforcement Agency, the Huntsville Police Department, the U.S. Marshal Service, the Chattanooga Safe Streets, FBI Task Force, and the TBI. This case stretched into 3 states. We had 3 defendants in 2 different states, and the murder happened here in Georgia. So you try to corral all of that and put all that together, and it becomes a huge undertaking. So it's so much easier when you have these guys on board from day one. This is where we're at. This is where we're headed. They wrote over 70 search warrants. They looked through endless social media accounts, endless phones. And if you think about how much stuff your phone has, think about looking through 10, 15, 20 phones, 30 or 40 social media sites, all kinds of social media that they had to go through in order to get us to where we are, plus the search warrants, conducting all search warrants, collecting phone data. Our intel analyst, Lori Lane, did such a magnificent job with the cellular data and compiling that to where we could track these defendants to, from Huntsville to Chattanooga to where the murder occurred. You don't get that a lot. So their dedication in doing this case was tremendous, and I can't thank them enough for the time that they put in, because sometimes this is a thankless job, and sometimes it's a long hour job, and these guys didn't mind doing it. They were out there doing it. And along with Steve's detectives, they were right there with us the whole time. The night that we did the search warrant in Huntsville, I don't think we got home till 7 or 8 that morning from driving over, searching, seizing cars, seizing phones, and then trying to bring the case back here. So my hat's off to them for their great work and dedication. Our office works anywhere from 30 to 40 death investigations a year, and you try working that with 4 and 5 agents. So you can see what hours they compile in doing these cases. And you think about the search warrants that they have to look and obtain and look through the information that they get. The social media sites alone were so voluminous, it's just hard to imagine. I could not believe it sometimes myself when that information came in. So I just want to thank them for all their hard work and for these guys behind me, because this case would have not gotten to where it was without all of us working together and putting in the time and the man hours that they did. And I think the citizens of Walker County are lucky to have these guys behind me. Thank you.
Okay, I believe that is all of our speakers for this afternoon. If you have any direct questions to DA Fuller or Special Agent Montgomery, we'll take those now. Not all questions can be answered. There's still some litigation pending, so all of the questions may not be able to be answered, but if you have a specific question let's start with the district attorney here. Does anyone have any questions for him?
Yeah, Andrew Wilkins with Chattanooga Township Press.
Okay.
Do we have any motive for the crime?
And nothing that we'd be able to speak on, just essentially because we do have open cases, but that's not something that we would comment on at this time.
Okay, fair.
Yep.
And how many other defendants are in trial?
There's none in trial at this point. I believe there's one open case. It'll continue. Yeah, one open case.
Just to clarify, so there's 2 defendants that have been convicted. Which 2 defendants were they, and what type of penalty are they looking at?
So speaking to penalty, that'll be June 29th, I believe at 1 p.m. That'll be the sentencing phase. They're looking at a minimum sentence of life with the possibility of parole plus 5 years. And then the maximum sentence would be life without the possibility of parole. That'll be decided on 29 June. So, yeah. And those will be for the 2 defendants that have been convicted.
Are you able to confirm the identities of those? Are you able to say the names of the 2 defendants that were convicted?
I'll leave that to my Chief Assistant District Attorney.
John T. Collier and Eric Dawkins.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any additional questions for Special Agent Montgomery?
There's nothing going on for Deja Collins and Darius Woods. They're just. Deja Collins resolved her case this morning by guilty plea. The Woods case is still pending at this time.
Yes.
I know there's pending litigation, but what new information are you guys allowed to share about this and at all?
You gentlemen want to speak to that?
And as far as factually related to the case, again, this was just a shooting that happened. The defendants came into our community, and there was a shooting that took the life of Dakota Bradshaw on that date. Those were the basic facts that we had and was presented in court. So it's a little bit difficult since we have open cases to do any sort of deep dive into the factual nature of the case.
Okay, before we close it out, anyone else?
I guess this question would be more for Special Agent Montgomery, and I don't know if you'd be able to answer this part of it. I know you said that your agents went through a lot of phones, a lot of social media. Are you able to comment on like the nature of what they found in those phones? phones? And did it connect anyone else to these crimes?
The social media responses that we got, the information, the evidence, was all presented last week in trial, and it pointed to the 3 defendants that we had arrested.
And for Collins, you said she pleaded guilty.
She did.
So has she been convicted yet? And what charge is she facing?
I don't think we can release that at this time, given the terms of the sentence.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. There'll be a news release that we'll send out shortly with some other images. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.